For almost 19 million years, one creature ruled every ocean on Earth. Not in one region, not in one sea, every ocean, at the same time, for 19 million years without interruption. To understand how long that is, modern humans have existed for around 300,000 years. This animal was at the top of the ocean for 60 times longer than our entire species has been alive. Its name is Megalodon. And just a few months ago, in 2025, a team of 28 scientists from around the world published research that changed almost everything we thought we knew about it. Here is what the science now tells us. At its largest, Megalodon was around 24 meters long. A double-decker bus in London is just over 11 meters. Megalodon was more than twice that length. A fully grown great white shark, the most feared predator in the ocean today, would barely reach up to Megalodon's side fin. Not its jaw, its fin. The heaviest individuals weighed an estimated 94 tons. Its bite was 10 times more powerful than a great white's, strong enough to crush the rib cage of a large whale in a single snap. And throughout its lifetime, a single megalodon could go through as many as 40,000 teeth. Teeth that have since been found, fossilized, on the ocean floor of every continent on Earth except one. And then, around 3.6 million years ago, it was gone. No warning in the fossil record. No trail of decline easy to follow. Just a date, and then nothing. The largest predator the sea has ever known disappeared and left behind only its teeth. No body has ever been found. No skeleton. No final clue about where it went or why. Just teeth scattered across the ocean floor. And a mystery that science has been trying to solve for 200 years. Here is the part that makes it even more remarkable. Almost everything science told us about Megalodon turned out to be wrong. And the truth is stranger and more impressive than anything anyone imagined. The story of how Megalodon was discovered does not begin in a laboratory or on a research ship. It begins in 1666, in a fishing port on the coast of Italy, with a catch so unusual that the local duke felt he had to do something about it. Two fishermen had hauled in a shark of such extraordinary size that it drew crowds. The duke had the animal sent to a Danish scientist named Niels Steensen, known today simply as Steno, who was working in Florence at the time. And what caught Steno's attention was not the size of the shark, it was the teeth. For centuries, people had been finding strange triangular stones embedded in rock formations across Europe. Most people believed they were petrified snake tongues, or the remains of dragons. Steno looked at the shark's teeth and immediately saw the connection. These stones were not tongues or dragon remains. They were fossilized animal teeth. The remains of creatures that had been alive millions of years ago, locked inside rock that had built up slowly, one layer at a time, over enormous stretches of time. That single insight, that rock layers record time, and that things trapped inside them are windows into the past, became one of the foundations of modern science. The entire field of paleontology, the study of ancient life, grows from the seed that Steno planted in a Florentine study in 1666. He had picked up a shark's tooth and accidentally discovered how fossils work. For Megalodon, this matters enormously. Because sharks are built differently from most large animals, their skeletons are made of cartilage, the same flexible material in human ears and noses rather than bone. Cartilage almost never survives long enough to become a fossil. What sharks leave behind, reliably and abundantly, are their teeth. Dense, hard, and built to last millions of years. Megalodon had 276 teeth in a single set. They were replaced continuously throughout its life, Every time one fell out, a new one moved forward to take its place, row after row, like a conveyor belt of blades. Over a full lifetime, one megalodon could go through 40,000 individual teeth. Over 19 million years of the species existing, the ocean floor became covered in them. And it is almost entirely through those teeth that everything known about Megalodon has been figured out. The name itself says it all. Megalodon comes from ancient Greek. It means simply big tooth. But for a long time, those teeth led scientists to a conclusion about Megalodon that turned out to be completely wrong. In 1835, a naturalist named Louis Agassiz formally described Megalodon for the first time and gave it its first scientific name. Looking at the teeth, he made what seemed like a perfectly logical observation. They were large, triangular, and serrated, and they looked a lot like the teeth of the great white shark. So, Agassiz concluded that Megalodon must be closely related to the great white, a giant ancestor. The same basic animal, but much, much bigger. That idea stuck around for nearly 170 years. In 1996, a scientist named Mike Gottfried built what became the standard reconstruction of Megalodon, a massive, stocky animal shaped almost exactly like a great white shark, just scaled up to enormous size. That image went into museums, textbooks, documentaries, and films. It became the picture everyone had in their head when they heard the word Megalodon. There was just one problem. It was wrong. In the early 2000s, researchers started looking much more carefully at the shapes of the teeth themselves, not just their overall size, but the tiny details. The exact angles of the serrations along the edge, the precise curve of the root at the base, the overall outline of the crown. And what they found was that Megalodon teeth and great white shark teeth are actually quite different when you measure them properly. The serrations on a great white tooth are uneven and jagged. On a Megalodon tooth, they are finer and more rounded. The roots have a different shape. When scientists mapped out all those differences mathematically, the two species did not overlap at all, not even slightly. These were not the same family of sharks. In 2019, a researcher named Dana Arrett made it official. Megalodon was moved into a completely different and long-extinct family of sharks, a group called the megatoothed sharks, whose roots go back more than 60 million years. Megalodon and the great white shark were not related in any meaningful sense. They had been evolving along separate paths for tens of millions of years. They just happened to share the same ocean for a brief period near the very end of Megalodon's existence, which means that every museum display, every film, every documentary that showed Megalodon as basically a supersized great white was showing the wrong animal. The real Megalodon needed to be built from scratch. And when scientists did that properly, what they found was far more interesting. In 2025, a team of 28 scientists led by a paleobiologist named Dr. Kenshu Shimada set out to answer the question properly once and for all. To do it, they built the biggest comparison database of shark body shapes ever assembled. Measurements from 145 species of sharks alive today, plus 20 extinct species. Head length, body length, tail length, fin size, jaw shape. Everything recorded and mapped across all 165 species. Then they took that database and applied it to the best physical evidence of Megalodon that exists. A rare and remarkable set of fossilized vertebrae, the small bones of the spine, found in Belgium and now kept at a Natural History Institute in Brussels. This specimen is 11 meters long, but here is the catch. It only represents the middle section of the animal. The head and tail are both missing. By using the proportional patterns from all 165 shark species, the team was able to estimate what the missing sections would have looked like and how long they would have been. The result for the Belgian specimen: a total body length of around 16.4 meters. Already enormous. But then came the finding that changed everything. A separate fossilized vertebra, a single one found in Denmark, was 23 centimeters wide, noticeably larger than anything in the Belgian specimen. When the team applied the same method to the Danish vertebra, the estimated total length came out at 24.3 meters. Weight, around 94 tons. That is roughly the size of a blue whale, the largest animal known to have ever lived on Earth. And it was a shark. But the team did not stop at size. They also discovered that the shape of Megalodon was completely different from what had always been assumed. The old stocky great white style body turned out to be inconsistent with the patterns seen across real shark species. The corrected reconstruction was leaner and more streamlined, with a shorter, flatter nose, a wider jaw that sat lower on the head, and longer side fins to help support and balance the animal's enormous weight as it moved. And this shape actually explains something that had always puzzled researchers. The reason modern great white sharks do not grow much beyond about 7 meters is simple physics. A heavy, stocky body creates a lot of drag in the water, and beyond a certain size, that drag becomes too costly. But a more streamlined body reduces that drag considerably. It is the same reason blue whales can grow to 30 meters. Their long, smooth shape lets them move efficiently despite their enormous mass. Megalodon's real body shape, it turns out, is what made its extraordinary size physically possible. It also explains why Megalodon fossils have been found on every continent except Antarctica. An animal built for efficient long-distance movement through open water could reach anywhere in the ocean. And it did. One more detail from the 2025 research is worth noting. And it is not a comfortable one. Evidence from fossilized vertebrae indicates that Megalodon pups were born at around 3.6 to 3.9 meters in length. To put that in perspective, that is larger than most adult sharks alive in the ocean today. The way they got that big before birth was almost certainly by feeding on other eggs inside the womb, and possibly on smaller siblings. The most dominant predator in the history of the ocean started its life by already being a predator before it had even entered the water. So how did something this dominant, this widespread, and this well-built simply disappear? The last Megalodon tooth in the fossil record dates to around 3.6 million years ago. That is when the species ends. The question of why has been argued over by scientists for a long time, and several of the most popular explanations, it turns out, do not hold up very well. The most common theory is that the ocean got too cold. As Earth moved toward the ice ages, global temperatures dropped, and the argument goes that Megalodon simply could not survive in colder water. It sounds reasonable, but when researchers actually checked the fossil record, they found Megalodon living in cooler, higher latitude waters throughout much of its existence. It was not confined to warm tropical seas the way a cold, sensitive animal would be. And scientists studying its biology believe Megalodon was likely warm-blooded in a partial sense, able to keep its body temperature higher than the surrounding water, much like modern great white and mako sharks do today. That would have given it a reasonable tolerance for a range of temperatures, so cold water alone was almost certainly not what killed it. The real answer appears to be food, or rather, the lack of it. research tracking where and how often Megalodon fossils appear through time found that the species was at its most widespread and abundant around 11 to 16 million years ago. After that, the numbers start declining. And that decline lines up almost exactly with a massive die-off of large sea animals happening around the same time. Whales, dolphins, and porpoises, the large prey that a predator Megalodon's size depended on, were disappearing in huge numbers. During this period, over half of all large sea mammal species went extinct. More than 40% of sea turtles, around a third of all large ocean species overall. The food chain that Megalodon had relied on for millions of years was collapsing beneath it. At the same time, sea levels were shifting, which reduced the shallow coastal areas where large prey tended to gather in the greatest numbers. Less food in fewer places meant much harder competition for whatever was left. And competing for that food was a new predator that had not been around before, the modern great white shark. Smaller, faster, and able to survive on a much wider variety of prey, the great white did not need nearly as much food to stay alive. As the available prey shrank, that became a significant advantage. Megalodon needed enormous amounts of food every day just to keep a 94-ton body functioning. The great white could get by on far less. In a world where food was becoming scarce, being the biggest suddenly became the biggest disadvantage. Megalodon's size had made it the undisputed ruler of the ocean for nearly 19 million years. And in the end, that same size is almost certainly what brought it down. Of all the questions Megalodon raises, this is the one that refuses to go away. The deep ocean is vast, largely unexplored, and full of things science has not yet found. So, could Megalodon be hiding somewhere down there, still alive, just out of reach? The short answer is no. The longer answer is worth understanding because it explains something important about how the ocean actually works. In 2013, a television documentary convinced millions of viewers that there was real evidence for a living Megalodon. It showed footage of a blue whale that appeared to have been attacked by something enormous, interviews with what looked like real scientists, and claimed sightings of a fin far larger than any known shark. It was gripping television. It was also entirely made up. The footage was staged. The scientists were actors. The attack was created digitally. A small disclaimer at the start of the program stated it was not based on fact, but almost nobody caught it, and the damage was done. The most common real argument for Megalodon's survival goes like this. Only about 5% of the ocean floor has been mapped in detail, so something could easily be hiding in the parts that have not been explored. The problem with this argument is that Megalodon was not a deep ocean animal. It was a hunter of large prey in open and coastal waters. The deep ocean is extremely cold, almost completely dark, and has very little food, certainly not enough to keep a 94-ton shark alive. The deepest fish ever recorded are tiny creatures no longer than 20 centimeters, and even they struggle to find enough to eat down there. One popular theory specifically suggests Megalodon could be hiding in the Mariana Trench, the deepest point in any ocean. This idea got a boost from a genuine historical curiosity. During a famous ocean expedition in 1873, unusually white and well-preserved Megalodon teeth were found near the trench, leading some people at the time to wonder if they were recent. Scientists later worked out that the teeth had been coated in a thick layer of mineral deposits that slowed their decay dramatically, making millions of years old teeth look almost fresh. Old teeth, excellent preservation. No living megalodon. But the most powerful argument against a surviving megalodon has nothing to do with exploration or tooth preservation. It is about what happened to the ocean after Megalodon disappeared. When a top predator vanishes, the animals it used to hunt change. In this case, after Megalodon went extinct, whales grew significantly larger than they had ever been during Megalodon's time. The blue whale, which can reach 30 meters, evolved and thrived in the period after Megalodon's extinction. A predator capable of killing whales does not allow whale species to double in size unchallenged. The blue whale is, in a very real sense, living proof that Megalodon is gone. That much is clear. The science is settled, the fossil record is consistent, and the state of the modern ocean confirms it beyond any reasonable doubt. But the story of this animal is not really a story about extinction. It is a story about how wrong confident knowledge can be, and how much closer to the truth a willingness to keep asking questions can get. For nearly 200 years, Megalodon was taught as a giant great white. That was wrong. For decades it was reconstructed as a stocky, tank-shaped predator. That was wrong too. The size estimates that filled textbooks and museum labels turned out to be too small. The family tree that placed it beside the great white turned out to be entirely mistaken. And new research published just months ago rewrote the picture again. A longer, leaner animal, a different shape, a different lineage, and a maximum size that puts it in the company of the blue whale. Each correction has made the animal more extraordinary, not less. The real Megalodon is stranger, bigger, and more impressive than the version that was wrong, but in what grew in the silence after it was gone. No complete body has ever been found, no skeleton, no final answer. Just teeth, still washing up on beaches across the world, dark and patient. As if the ocean is not quite finished with the story yet. 19 million years of dominance, 3.6 million years of silence, and still the teeth keep coming in with the tide. Still the same shape, still the same size, still somehow surprising the person who picks one up and holds it in their hand for the first time.